Coming to you from our opulent and luxurious 4x8 refurbished room closet at the national headquarters in Indianapolis. With duct tape studio lights and a mic that you barely can hear, we hope to entertain and educate you. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, and welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast. I'm your host, Mark Seavey, the Special Projects Council of the American Legion here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm joined, as always, by the lovely Ashley Garbolja Maldonado from our nation's capital, and the always popular Jeff Daly of the Michigan Dailies, currently in Hollywood, California. Hey, guys, how are you doing?
Outstanding.
Jeff,
Fabulous.
You appear to have lived through Boys Nation.
I did. And now I'm sleepwalking through life after that.
Yeah, somnambulant, I believe is the word. Yes. How was it? Did you have fun?
It's the week that changes lives, and it's also they feed you so well. It's the week that expands waistlines. So I'm recovering from that because I know that we have convention coming up, and Holly ordered me a size shirt that would have been appropriate a month or two ago, but I need to make it appropriate now because woo.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm expanding at the speed of light as well. So I get you.
I'm shrinking at the speed of light.
Are you? Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm officially down 20 pounds.
Braggart.
Wow, look at you. Is this a mostly working out, mostly eating right, or just?
Well, I can tell you last week that I biked 50 plus miles in one day, and I have been hitting the gym twice a week, and I just weighed in yesterday, so I'm not going to say the number out loud, but I still have some work to go. I'm really excited. It's been nice.
I can't get on a scale. I would probably, I'm not really all that self-conscious, but it would probably be enough to shock me into crying or something. But
Aww.
Today we've had the pleasure of talking to our guest here for a little bit, Stu, who very quiet and reserved gentleman. I think you're going to enjoy Stu a great deal, but Stu Richel served as a combat photographer and a journalist with the U.S. Army with the 1st Infantry Division in Vietnam. After leaving the Army in 1970, he worked as a professional and then an actor and a playwright for over 30 years with principal roles in more than 40 feature films and independent short films. He taught and performed in prisons in both California and New York, and has written and toured 4 one-man stage play. His most recent play, Vietnam Through My Lens, is currently on tour, and Richel performs in theaters, colleges, municipal auditoriums, and even at a VFW post in conjunction with a visit of The Wall That Heals. He's a life member of Post 581 in New York. And right after this commercial break, we'll be back with Stu, and you guys are going to love him as much as we did. So stay tuned for that.
Hearing loss and tinnitus are the top service-connected disabilities, and we know that hearing issues can result in social isolation and loneliness. These issues, in turn, can lead to a host of other potential health conditions, especially for veterans. That's why staying connected with family and friends is so critical to our health. The Heroes with Hearing Loss program supports veterans facing the challenges of hearing loss and provides solutions to keep us connected. One of those solutions is the caption telephone, which allows veterans to listen and read what is said over the phone, making it easier than ever to connect with those who matter most in our lives. Thanks to the sponsor of Heroes with Hearing Loss, Hamilton CapTel. Caption telephones are available at no cost for veterans. Learn more at heroeswithhearingloss.org.
All right, now we're joined by Stu Richel. Stu, thank you so much for joining us. We
nice to be with you guys.
Appreciate you taking time out of your day. And we are going to start with Ashley.
Absolutely. So Stu, very impressive background. So you were a photographer and a journalist in the 1st Infantry Division in Vietnam. And I wanted to ask you about your experience as a service member, and then how, potentially, I'm assuming photography and journalism would kind of lead you down this road to your over 30-year, passion for being a creative and an actor and a playwright professional.
Look, it was it was just a chance thing in Vietnam. I wanted to get forward and I would have regretted spending 2 years of my life in the military if they had been in backwater places rather than where world history was being made. I had this odd compulsion. So I got over there. And then I was a clerk and I wasn't happy about that. And I found my way into this unit called the Public Information Office, PIO. And so without a lot of training, certainly none as a photographer, I didn't know what I was doing. And frankly, I still don't. But I was allowed to become one of these guys in this Public Information Office with other guys who were really professionals before they went into the Army. And so I wandered through that path, loved it, getting out in the field, being involved with things, taking pictures, writing stories. And I even tried to get a position, as I recall, toward the end of my tour at the end of '69, with a thing called, it was a paper overseas called the Overseas Weekly. I wanted to stay as a photographer in Vietnam, and they offered me a position as a typesetting or doing some other thing, but not being the photographer. But I really haven't followed those paths since then. I write periodically and have written some plays that have been produced. Nothing with the photography, and I frankly have avoided even carrying a camera when I've gone away on some trips where I wander with a backpack. So it's kind of an odd, I just haven't picked up a camera really since Vietnam.
That's fascinating.
Except when someone on the street says, take a picture of me.
Can you take this picture?
And I have to tell them, how do I use this camera? So I haven't, I'm not saying there's some secret reason. I just have always felt that cameras can sometimes interfere. If you take them on a trip, a wandering kind of trip, you're not out just going from destination to destination, shooting this tower or whatever. You can lose the opportunity to have experiences if you're worried about the goddamn cameras. So I don't know. That's
said every Gen Z or millennial out there. No, just kidding.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said every Gen Z and millennial ever.
Yeah.
It's just a pull on all the social media, Stu.
I can't.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
No.
Everyone's always got their cameras out, and it's refreshing to hear you say that, Stu, because there's so many folks out there who they'll have the camera up while they're at a concert, or they're videotaping the fireworks. I'm like, just watch the fireworks, okay? Nobody's gonna watch this video.
I've wandered around Burma, Thailand, the Philippines, just with a backpack 20 years ago, 25 years ago, in difficult circumstances, and met some wonderful people. And then I get involved with them, and that produced more experiences. But the point I'm making, I think about it these days, and I said, if you went to the same damn places in the middle of the jungle, you'd probably run across some little bastard who wants to take pictures and send audio of some kind to places. I couldn't stand that. That would ruin the whole trip experience. So, but yeah, I'm not pointing to your flaw particularly, but I don't get it.
You know what, Stu? You're my favorite guest right now.
Yeah.
You're just so raw and real, man. I love it. You're just like, cameras, no. Be present, be alive, live your life. And you certainly did that. And, and you took an experience away from Vietnam. You traveled, not all that wander or lost, right? Yeah. And you wind up in, as an actor playwright. And I know Jeff's got some questions for you, so I'll turn it over to him.
Actually, I don't want it to go unnoticed, but thank you for the Lord of the Rings reference. That was excellently worked in there. Appreciate it.
And of course, I didn't recognize it at all.
No, of course you didn't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
not all that wander are lost. That's just.
I thought you were talking to me, and I said I didn't have anything to do with it.
No. All right, Jeff, you are up.
All right. Not only are we fellow veterans, we are fellow SAG-AFTRA members. So
I know that from you. That's just grand. That's grand.
So, I'm also in another organization. I don't know if you're involved with it. It's Veterans in Media and Entertainment, VME. No. And we talk a lot about a couple of things. One, the gap, we call it the gap, the service gap. So the time spent in service where everybody else is doing their thing and you have to catch up when they're out. And then the other thing we talk about is the similarities between the military experience and entertainment. Did you notice any of those?
Similarities between military experience and entertainment. Could you please tell me what you mean? It doesn't.
The hurry up and wait.
Of course.
Yeah, the early mornings, the constant preparing to do something, spending a lot more time preparing than doing.
Well, it's really funny. If you asked me that, and I'm sorry I'm being so stupid, but it.
Were you a Marine too?
It's not hard for me
not our fault.
But if you ask me that question after basic training or after my first assignment in Fort Gordon, Georgia, while I was still in a straight unit where you had to do things at a certain time and you had to look good and have all your uniforms and everything else, I would have said, oh yeah, the hurry up and wait, and I can't stand all this attention to detail. But I forgot about all that because that's not what Vietnam is like.
Right.
I mean, that background is just another world where you're certainly not worried about what you look like when you're out in the bush. You're not worried. You certainly wouldn't be carrying around things that would, whether you certainly wouldn't carry extra. Oh, I want to be seen with this or that, or even watches that were shiny or anything that was a shiny thing. You didn't want to be seen in the jungle, and you were worried about not me as much as many others. I don't want to paint the wrong picture. I was there with guys on different occasions, but then I could retreat to the base camp, and it was relatively free of danger for 4 or 5 days, and then I'd go out again. But for the guys, and this is where I really should focus, for the guys who were infantrymen, and so many others, dog handlers, chopper pilots, medevac chopper pilots, and a host of others, and the infantrymen, the guys who were in danger 24/7, and the fright and the fear, those are the guys who really understand this. They wouldn't be talking about all the similarities that you speak of, but it's that Vietnam experience, and of course that would be true, I'm sure, for Iraq, Afghanistan, and the like. But I'm sorry I wasn't quick on the trigger with that.
No. My only problem with you today is that you don't seem to have any opinions on anything. And, so scared, so scared to let them be known.
Yeah. Oh,
we got to get you a little. We got to get you more comfortable here. So
well, I will. I'm about to do it again. I think I'll retreat for a second. I caused it.
No.
In this case, I lost a friend, and about remarks. I guess I can say it without detailing the remarks. But jumping into the fray can hurt. You all know that in relationships, politics these days. You say the wrong thing to the wrong people you care about, but they are violently and viciously at odds with how they feel about a certain man or COVID or shots or something. It's a horrible state of affairs we're at in this country with how you can't discuss based on reason and logic. It's horrible. I will just tell you though that I lost a friend and others in a Zoom conference when I made some remarks about Jane Fonda. I'm not going to repeat the remarks, but I think if you're a veteran, you have some feeling about the way it would be with respect to her sitting on an artillery piece in North Vietnam.
So it wasn't that her exercise videos were overproduced and the music was a little distracting.
This was pre that. This was all before. This was I don't know.
Well, no, the Zoom call. When you talked about
the Zoom call was just maybe 8 or 10 months ago. But no, it had nothing to do with the exercise. Now, I laud her as an actress, but I make distinctions.
All right,
and
so
I've done enough, or I'll hurt some of your audience will get pissed off.
Well, I want to thank you because you know what? I don't have to rant today, and no one can be angry at me. So you did before I let you go. We're gonna talk a little bit because you've done a lot of acting, and yeah. I want to acknowledge the fact that you're in, and I think this is kind of where Ashley was going. You've been a storyteller since the Army, and you're continuing to be a storyteller, and we'll get more to that after the break. But
I just want to stop you because that's interesting that you say that, because I never thought of myself that way. Only when I began to write, when I wrote Vietnam Through My Lens, my solo show that's prompted by my experiences in Vietnam, only when I wrote that did I come to think about myself and eventually start to call myself a storyteller. Others saw it and knew it, and I didn't. So I like the way you said, since the time of writing in Vietnam, it's progressed and played.
Even photography.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
That whole
You're right.
1,000 words thing. Yeah,
You're right. No, you're right. You're right.
I'm going to go to something. I'm going to go to something else because I think it's interesting. We both. I went to Afghanistan and served as an infantryman, and I had already graduated from college before I went. But I also went to law school when I came back, and and I am an attorney now.
Wow!
From your background, what I find so interesting is you 100%.
That's exactly the same thing.
Exactly what he said.
That's exactly what he said.
And so I think it's funny because when I came back and went to law school fresh out of the military, it annoyed me beyond belief because I would hear like first year law students saying this is the toughest year of my life, and it's like, dude, I just got back from Afghanistan. Like, if you think it's hard to read books and remember what you read, you really haven't lived. And so when I finished law school for like almost 10 years, I took the bar, passed the bar, but I did not want to be an attorney. And so I was a war reporter and I loved it. Now I'm an attorney because I'm getting old and I can't always go to war. So it is what it is. But I always,
wait a minute. Where? War reporter, where?
I worked for the American Legion. I went to Afghanistan. I went to the North Pole. I did. And so to me, it was the same thing. I never envisioned that I'm not a writer by any stretch of the imagination, but when I would write a story and I could tell someone else's experience, I did okay with it. Thank God I had editors and everything else. But you know, I don't think it's that far. I like the fact that you were a lawyer for however many years. It was over 10 years, right? So 17 years. And then you were like, you know what? There's more to life than being a lawyer, which I will grant you 100%. There is a lot more to life than being a lawyer. Lawyer helps me to provide for my 3 kids under 7. So it's a necessary evil. As many lawyers have said, I'd rather hang out with my clients than other lawyers. But I'm curious as to, you know, I love the depth of what you did. You're a photographer and then you became an attorney, which is the personification of everything that's corporate. And now you're an actor, which again is going back. So I'm curious of how you viewed your life through this lens of moving from one thing to another.
I'll basically cut to the chase. I practiced law because I didn't know what else I should be doing. That's what I signed up for. I went to school for. And as time went by, and there were moments where I enjoyed, felt fulfillment, but over time I grew weary and I was succeeding with GE, but I didn't want to do it anymore. I'd look at my desk, and I still have the same kind of assortment of things on my desk and structure. I have little piles of things that have to be dealt with. And I didn't want to look at them anymore. And so I told my boss I wanted to leave. He urged me to stay, but he said, don't do this today. Think about it over the weekend. I got back and I said, no, Jack, I want to go. He then said, well, okay, I'll relieve you of your day-to-day responsibilities. And I want you to create a course on contracts and practices, contracting practices for the people in our division. He knew that I liked to teach. And so I worked on that for months. I ended up doing that for some GE people, then eventually left and did some teaching at a corporate level with other corporations of contracting practices in other environments. But all the while, I was growing weary and didn't want to be even doing that. And so I was carrying on my low-level acting activity, which started to grow. And eventually I got an agent. And then I started to work for a small theater company in San Jose called something. And I was their development director as well as I became an artist, a writer in residence. I'm not even sure we use those words, but writer in residence, I guess. So things grew. And then one day a buddy of mine convinced me to go to New York and give my acting and writing a shot. I was bored in San Jose, and as I'll tell you in the scene, if I get a chance to do a scene,
You will.
I grew bored and I gave it a shot. I came to New York, and so I've progressed. I'm closer to anonymous than famous, but I've had successes, and they ain't over. And so it's been a gradual process, an evolution of some sort. And I never would want to go back to the law. The only field of law that I ever should have practiced in, would have really enjoyed, would have been a role as a prosecutor. But it didn't happen. And then,
Well, I'd love to be a constitutional law lawyer, but apparently you need to go to Yale or something, and I did not. So yeah,
I don't care where you go, but you better be smart, super smart.
I feel you on that one. All right, let's take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with you in a moment. Italy.
On September 11th, 2001, our American way of life was attacked. Everyone remembers where they were that day and how their lives changed from that moment on. The American Legion is committed to honoring the memories of those we lost on 9/11 and in the global war on terrorism that followed. As part of that commitment, the American Legion Tango Alpha Lima podcast presents a special series, 9/11-20-20-20. 20 episodes in the 20 days leading up to the 20th anniversary of the attacks that changed the world. Each of the 20 guests delivers a unique first-hand perspective on 9/11 and our nation's response. New episodes will be released each weekday starting on August 16th.
All right, now we're rejoined by Stu Richel and Jeff Daly. You are up first on round 2. Go.
All right, Stu, we've decided that you're a storyteller, right? We agree on this?
Yes.
All right, you and I agree on it, but there's people in this world who just don't believe it until they see it. So I think what we're going to have to do is ask you to prove it. And I've been told that you're prepared to present a little something for us from your works. Like, where is this coming? What is the project first?
What is what?
What is the project that this comes from?
Oh, yeah. I have written a number of solo shows, one-man stage plays. The latest, which was completed in 2014, is called Vietnam Through My Lens. It's a series of stories prompted by my experience over in Vietnam as a photographer and journalist with the 1st Infantry Division, 1969. Some of the stories are poignant, some are humorous, some are factual. Most do not take place about action in Vietnam. There's no blood and guts, no politics. That's a way to lose half an audience. So it's a bunch of stories that, and many of them show how Vietnam has colored my life. I'll say how it's affected me. I don't mean PTSD. I don't think I've suffered from that. Others might differ, but just how it affects you. Any serious experience will have some impact. So this is one of those stories, and that I would hope to do for you. I was ready to do 6, but I'll do this one. And oh yeah, no, I was ready to do 6,
All
but
right.
This one has an unexpected relationship to you guys, and it's nice.
Well, we do love hearing about ourselves, and I do want to give you the opportunity to display your storytelling. So I'm going to shut up, like literally put myself on mute and just leave the screen, audio and video to you, sir. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right. We're going to go in 3, 2, action.
I grew bored in San Jose. A good buddy of mine, Paul Powers, suggested that I give my acting and writing a shot in New York City. Paulie's a wise fellow. That was all the investigation and analysis I needed. So in December of '97, I drove my little rental truck across what remained of Route 66 and some other tiny blue highways, finally settling in an apartment in Greenwich Village in Manhattan. Just 2,500 miles or so as the crow flies, but a seismic shift in attitude. The Village. home of the Stonewall gay riot in 1969, site of the violent squatters riot in Tompkins Square Park in 1988, definitely not San Jose. New York City, when I got there, Memorial Day kind of grew on me again, attached itself to me in a headier way. In my building, that day is pretty much a trigger for a long weekend, lots of bags in the lobby, talk of Fire Island, Block Island, Shelter Island, whole lot of islands. If I want to talk about the day itself, I talk to Jerry Cosme, wonderful fellow, works in my building. Jerry's nephew, Air Force, cousin, Marines, uncle, Army, Vietnam, other uncle, World War II general. Jerry gets it. An article in the New York Times about Memorial Day caught my eye. The article was about Father Kevin Devine and his Church of the Good Shepherd. Father Devine served as an Army chaplain in Vietnam. He was awarded the Silver Star for Valor for ministering to soldiers in the field in battle. The Silver Star, our nation's third highest award for valor. I took a subway uptown, found my way to Father's church. Outside, on the steps, veterans in uniform. Some pounds got in the way, but who cared? Inside, members of American Legion Post 581 marched down the aisles carrying the American flag, the black POW MIA flag, and a host of others. Tom Hoare, their commander, led the way. Father Devine, thank God for blessings bestowed. He prayed for those who had lost their lives in battle and for those whose fate remained unknown. He walked such a delicate line, so gracefully. We sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic in church and concluded with America the Beautiful. I left the church wiping my eyes. A Jew who hadn't seen the inside of a synagogue in quite a while, holding back tears in a Catholic church. The Catholic Church finding a place for the soldier that I had never seen before.
You guys coming back? Yes.
Yes, I was back. I was
Yes.
I was looking up Father Devine on the internet here, and of course, there is an excellent website about the church itself, which is impressive.
There are other things, and you'll be getting some more photos that could be useful to you and or of interest to you, I should say.
Absolutely.
Well, I certainly appreciated that. It's we haven't done that before. We haven't had a live performance on the show before. So you are a trailblazer, sir.
Oh, well, I mean, live theater's magic. Live theater's magic. And you can do it, I've found. I mean, I mean, if you're just telling an honest story or other forms of acting, I'm sure, but it can be done, but it's not like being in a theater, but it can move people. I've watched it and heard it do so. And Father Devine was, I read the article in the Times, and for the next 20 years, with only one exception, I've gone to that church on Memorial Day. He so moved me, and the whole environment moved me. I mean, have you ever heard such things as, the Battle Hymn of the Republic being sung on Memorial Day in a church? I don't know. So, I mean, but he passed away about a year ago.
Yeah, that's what I had saw. And super producer Holly is making sure we note here that Father Devine was a proud Legionnaire, often photographed in his cap. Which yes, and I hope you'll be able to see some of those photos. And there's the connection. And I remain connected to the Post. I'm a life member of American Post 581. On that first day, I met the commander of Tom Hoare, the commander of Post 581.
And I said, look, I want to give you a small contribution, and I want to join your post. I won't be here. It was about 45 minutes away from where I live. And I said, I'm not going to be going to your meetings, but I want to support you. And I've seen Tom and his wife, Carolyn, every year, and they've come to see some of my shows and in Manhattan, and they live in Manhattan as well. And I've been just drawn to that church on Memorial Day. And now, though, in the last year or two, since he hasn't been active and since he's passed, of course, there's a change. He was a Paulist father, and they have a certain freedom of action that some other orders don't seem to. But the sense, the attachment to Vietnam and to soldiers and veterans is not going to be the same in his absence. And so I'm not sure that I'll be drawn there for much longer.
Powerful.
All right, Ashley, you are up.
It's so
Sorry?
powerful. I said it's so powerful, Stu. I'm just like the way that your word choices, setting the scene, the tone. Like, as growing up Catholic, I know a lot about sit, kneel, pray and going to Catholic mass. So I'm thinking about hearing the battle hymn, and just it's very transformative and transporting for me.
Father Divine, I'm glad. Father Divine believed that Memorial Day Mass should honor both God and soldier. And that's not going to happen. I won't say won't happen again, but it's not going to happen in this church. It's a difficult line to walk.
This is totally at random, but when I had made my confirmation, I chose the Saint Michael. He's the protector of first responders and soldiers. And
Yes.
this was much younger, before I had even thought about joining the service. And I remember the nun saying, like, you need to pick a female saint. And I was like, absolutely not. And you took me there. You took me to that moment.
Wow.
You took me to that moment of like, I'm a defiant individual. Here I am, like, golly or not. But my question.
Oh, no, I love hearing that. I love hearing that, because I love if my work touches someone. I love that. And I get all kinds of responses. I mean, we haven't been doing the show since COVID. I lost a bunch of gigs because of COVID. But I always have people come up after the show, and they come up in, imagine this one times, say, 20 for this number of scenes that have some poignancy to it. Imagine what you just saw times 20, some comedy as well. And one or two that are factual, that are dramatic. But the people come up moved, and the ones that choose to come up, and they want to speak to me privately. This isn't about Q&A. Some of that can go on with a Q&A, but the ones who want to come up afterward, that's a whole other story.
So Stu, let me ask you this.
I'm sorry?
So let me ask you this. So you've got all of these, how many separate acts are within the play? Or
there are about 26 scenes. 26 they run from about 2 minutes to about 1 or 2 of them are 5 minutes. Okay. One of them particularly, where I end up reading an essay about the infantrymen that I wrote when I was in Vietnam. I inevitably break up.
Which one's your
no
favorite?
Acting involved. Huh?
Stu, which one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite?
Yeah.
It's a hard one. I guess I might have one. It's a hard one to say. I don't mean because they're all your children. That's garbage. There are some that you've moved people and been effective more than others, but most of them really do get an impact. But one of them, it's about a restaurant and a restaurant owner, and how it became a haven for me and a few other guys as a wonderful place to go for Italian food, and then upstairs to a cigar haven upstairs. That one, it becomes very poignant. The other one that I guess, there's one that I have used to open my show, and I'm not sure I'll do that anymore in terms of location, but it's enormously powerful. It's the shortest piece, but it's about making a loan to a fellow veteran. And then the after story, the things that happened factually since then would make you even more tearful. It's a short one. I guess that's about as much of an answer. There are others I like, but those two really catch me. There's a story about a spy that's awfully good.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a fascinating, absolutely fascinating story.
Well, I definitely I am so intrigued right now. I know Jeff's on the edge of his seat over there. Mark's doing a lot of smiling. I'm sitting here like, I really want to go to the show. Anybody else?
Mark's trying to stop Googling stuff because
That's all right. I understand. You can, if you go to my website, look.
You can't steal my thunder. That was my last question to lead into.
All right.
Where should we be reaching out to you at?
Yeah. And
horrible English right there. That was not law school.
You're not being graded.
Never end with the word at. But all right, where can we find you?
Where can you find me? The website for this show is called VietnamThroughMyLens.com. That's THROUGH, folks. VietnamThroughMyLens.com. And then you'll see a lot about the show, and I think you'll be struck by what goes on and some of the videos we have on there, some of the press critics and the like. And there's a little tab called Contact. And I mention that because I do perform all over. I've performed in a VFW post. I've performed in 9 states, done the show, runs about an hour and a quarter. And though I've been wondering in the last day or two about how much of the show, or could the totality or a portion of the show be suitable for doing a Zoom performance, such as you've seen with American Legion post or some American Legion gathering. If you were touched by this one, you'd be blown away by the totality. Now, would people want in an American Legion post, would an hour and a quarter be too long for folks? I don't know. I can assure you, you'll be engrossed within seconds. But I don't know. Would a mini show be a good idea? I don't know. That's to be discussed. But if people want to talk about or inquire about doing the show for them via Zoom or live, I'm vaccinated and I'll get my booster shot, damn it, if they offer it, when they offer it. And oh, by the way, it was the VA who came to me first without my calling. I had a number of hospitals and other things where people said, we'll tell you when we're ready for you. And I decided that I'd take it. And suddenly I just get an email from the VA, which is not far from me. And there's one of them in Manhattan. And they said, give us a call. We'll schedule a visit. I called that day, had the first shot about 2 days later, 3 days later, and 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whatever it was thereafter. So there's a plug for the VA. They're doing their part.
I agree.
But there's a tab called Contact on the website. And under it, you'll see the name Linda Nelson, who's my director and producer. And if anyone has any questions about the piece that they want to ask about bringing it to them in one fashion or another, contact Linda. Or if you had a question, a substantive question, something about the content of the piece, rather than the administration of it, there's an email address for me. You're welcome to email me. As I said, I'm closer to anonymous than famous. There won't be any traffic jam.
You said that until this podcast.
No, I don't.
You're about to blow up.
I don't know. I wouldn't know how to spell it. But I did. Look, I've enjoyed being with you guys. I think it's been delightful. Yeah.
We appreciate it. As Jeff said, it's too bad that you're so soft spoken and not as not as steadfast in your opinions as we'd like. But, everybody's got to do what they got to do. All right, Stu, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone else, we will be right back after this commercial break. Stu, again, thank you very much for joining us.
Take care, all of you guys. Loved it.
All right, very reserved guy. Stu, Ashley, I know you enjoyed it. I don't know what to say, but I know you enjoyed it.
I know for folks listening, you can't see my face, but if you're watching the video, oh my gosh, he was so fun. He has such a magnetism about him. Like, I just want to like buy him coffee or alcohol or whatever he wants. And I just want him to talk to me and just tell me about his life and just transport me to, I can't even believe like that took me, like his story took me to a place like of like my own considerations of like stepping away from like religion and more towards spirituality, and like this very brief moment in my childhood that I had this epiphany on, and I was like, oh man, like, whew, you got me.
He's definitely fun. Jeff?
Yeah, it's pretty good, I guess. No, it's awesome when we get to do something that really allows someone to showcase not only their experience, but how they use that experience and into what they're doing now. And obviously, because I'm in Hollywood and acting and all that kind of stuff, I love to see someone do a performance, especially one that's genuine from the heart and based on something authentic. And he is nothing if not authentic. And the combination of just his general, like, filter-free expression of his opinion, the slight accent, a little bit of a gruffly voice, it all comes together and it makes him the perfect person to tell those stories. Yeah. And I'm glad that we got to see that.
As fun as he was, there was a little bit of fear in my questions too, because he very well, like if you ask anyone else a question, they will answer your question. I felt like there was a very real possibility with Stu that he would just be like, that's a stupid question. Like he is so real. Like I was like, all right, I gotta be what? Totally on my game.
So I was close.
So much
I was
fun.
Close.
Like,
he goes, you want to ask that again?
Oh yeah.
And I will say he was just as much fun when we were not recording. And he just a very, very interesting cat, very much fun to talk to. So I appreciate him. Yeah. All right, folks, next week, we're going to step away from our regular podcast schedule and format for a special series to remember the 20th anniversary of 9/11. So 9/11/2020. Basically, we've got 20 episodes in 20 days leading up to the 20th anniversary of 9/11. 20 stories to help us reflect and remember. The series is going to begin Monday, August 16th, and a new episode will be released every weekday until September 10th. Each episode will feature a guest with a unique story tied to the day of the attack. These stories are all incredible, so be sure to subscribe to Tango Alpha Lima on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll know when the new episodes release each day. And if you're worried that a daily shot of Team Tango won't be enough, follow the American Legion on your favorite social media channels, because the three of us are going to be headed down to the National Convention in Phoenix, and we will be doing appearances, Lord knows how often. Let's hope that we don't give the keys to the Facebook to Jeff, who might start broadcasting 11 p.m. when we got a couple of sauces in us. But folks, if you are going to be at the convention, definitely come and see us. I like Guinness, and I always have a friendly ear when I've got a Guinness in front of me. So come say hello to us. Everyone else, as always, send us feedback, comment on YouTube, Facebook. Very excited to see you. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that the 20 episodes in 20 days, we've had a really good time. And you're going to hear from a great group of people who are all over the place in terms of where they were on September 11th, from people who were in the White House to people who were, I think, sophomores in high school. So you're going to hear every one of them has a unique point of view, and together it's all like a puzzle that works in perfectly. So hope to join us for that. Ashley, Jeff, I think the next time I'm going to see you guys is going to be in 119-degree Phoenix, Arizona.
You're going to be melting. You're going to be like pouring your Guinness on you. You're going to be just so, no, you'll drink it. You won't pour it on you.
No, I won't pour it on myself.
Dramatic and cranky.
I probably will look like Frosty when the sun comes out, because like I'm just this big amorphous white blob, and I'm going to absolutely melt. So if you've never seen a dude just melt, like I think it's going to look like the guy who opened up the Ark of the Covenant in Raiders of the Lost Ark. My favorite was going to
That's a
come
great
down.
reference.
Yeah, so
Yes.
come and cool me off with Guinness. All right.
Pour
Everyone-
some
And come-
Guinness
and-
on Mark.
Yeah, it's all about me right now. No, actually, come
Pour
and talk to Jeff.
some
Jeff,
Guinness on Mark.
Mark.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-da.
this is terrible. You know what? Just
Wow.
fine.
Fade it
Jeff.
out there.
Leave-
Just
leave
fade it
me-
out there.
leave
That's
me alone.
perfect.
I'm not gonna be. All right, folks. We'll see you later. Come see us at convention. Jeff,
We will see
Ashley,
you.
see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.